Hey, we're live. Ha ha! I must have hit that button. Good morning. It's Thursday, and well, stuff's happening. So we're gonna be talking about we're gonna talk about it's COVID-18, right? We're gonna be talking about the coronavirus this morning. Or is it 19?
COVID-19.
COVID
19.
19. Got it. Um, so we're gonna be talking about the coronavirus this morning. Uh, Before we get into the nitty gritty, because a little bit of what we're gonna do is explore some of the conspiracy theories around it. And I'm not even saying I buy into any of them, but there is some interesting conversation going on there. Um,
And Epstein didn't kill himself.
that is correct. And also, Cameron, you're a little out of focus. I don't know if maybe you want to run a tissue across your lens or just wave at it, see if the autofocus picks back up there. Okay, I think it's better. Anyway, the first thing to say, the flu is a really serious big damn deal. Um, on average, we lose 36,000 Americans per year to the flu virus. Okay, 500,000 people die globally every year to the flu virus. That's the flu. That's not this thing. Um, COVID-19 is very much a developing situation. And it has not yet been declared an actual pandemic by the CDC or the World Health Organization, but it has broken quarantine in several places. Um, there are currently we have 19 countries: China, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, Afghanistan, Algeria, Australia, Austria, Bahrain, Belgium, Brazil, Cambodia, Canada, Croatia, Egypt, Finland, France, Germany, India, Iraq, Iran, Israel, Italy, Japan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Malaysia, Nepal, Oman, Philippines, Russia, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Thailand, the Republic of Korea, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, the United States, and Vietnam. Um, for a little context, here's a live feed. That's the wrong button. Here's a live feed of the action on the ground. There we go. So, this is the world. There's a coronavirus in China. And then all of a sudden, I didn't get the screen share over to Cameron.
Thanks, buddy.
Sorry, buddy. So, like I said, live feed, here's what's happening. And then the problem with a pandemic is the damn thing just keeps getting worse. The more and more people get infected as all this activity is going on. I'm waiting for Cameron to laugh at the joke. The more and more activity is going on, the more and more people get infected, the more the disease evolves and gets worse, right? Of course, the worse the disease gets, the faster it moves.
Yes.
And the faster it moves, the faster it mutates. The faster it mutates, the harder it is to contain, right? So, right now we're looking at, this is what my little joke with Plague Inc. aside, this is what the world looks like right now. These are the countries that have been infected. Now, as far as cases in the U.S., we're talking about 445 total tested. Yesterday, when Donald Trump did his press conference, he said about 500, so that tracks. And out of that, we've got 14 confirmed cases. the Donald got a little bit of pushback. Okay, the press conference went well. The press conference was solid. We'll talk about that a little more in just a minute. The Donald got a little pushback during the conference when he said we've tested 500 people. One of the reporters wanted to pitch a temper tantrum. Shouldn't you be testing a lot more people? You should be testing thousands and thousands of people. And Trump said, we're testing the people we need to test. We
Trump,
shut
aren't you
down.
stupid?
We shut down travel early. That was one of the big takeaways I thought from the press conference, is that the administration made the decision early on in the situation to shut down travel from dangerous and affected regions, right? So when he says we're testing who we need to test, I take that to mean that we are testing the people who are most likely to have encountered it. You know, I it doesn't seem to me like he grabbed 500 random people out of the 300 million citizens and happened to find 14 cases out of that sampling. That seems mathematically improbable.
Hey, some people think we're racist because we shut down the travel to certain places. So maybe that's racist. I don't know.
But I thought that was. I loved all the little jabs in the press conference from a pure cathartic perspective. Like the thing that I'm going to miss the most when there is no longer a President Trump are those little, hey, what's that in your eye? No, that right there. What's that in your eye right there? Like it's anyhow.
Now, this cases among persons repatriated to the U.S. This seems to indicate a discrepancy in the CDC's numbers, because CDC says we've got 14 confirmed cases in the U.S., but there are 42 cases on the Diamond Princess cruise ship and 3 cases that came from Wuhan. With only 2 cases being categorized as person-to-person spread, these numbers seem odd to me, because it makes me wonder, are you telling me that only 9 people were allowed off the Princess cruise? Or are you telling me that all but 9 have already recovered? Or did some fraction of this number die as a result of their illness and some fraction recover? And we're not counting those numbers? I don't understand why. I don't understand why this number isn't 45. Right? It seems like this number should be at least 45, if not 47. Right? And in fact, it says travel related. That also seems to be all of these people. So I'm a little confused on exactly what they're. I mean, this does say persons repatriated to the United States, as in they were moved here. And okay, this cases have laboratory confirmation and may or may not have been symptomatic. Okay, does that mean that these people are symptomatic? I don't know. There's something. Maybe I'm missing something. I didn't read it enough. I've only read it 3 times. Maybe I missed something in there. But anyway,
or maybe you're not a microbiologist. That's also possible.
You never know.
Dude, you're only 40. There's only so many things you can cram into 4 decades of life.
Yeah. So anyway, but hey, let's be real, brother. I'm like Brett. You remember Brett, right?
No.
He's a smart motherfucker. Check out the big brain on Brett. Anyway.
And that was your F-bomb, all to quote Quentin Tarantino. All right.
Oh, I love and hate the man. Anyway. I'm not going to rehash all the background stuff here. It started in Wuhan. Here's the things. Let me hit the things that are fact, which are contributing to the development of conspiracy theories. China told us that the disease began in the Wuhan fish market. and there were all these memes and stories about it originating from a bat soup, which, good God, produced some genuinely humorous memes, and I very much enjoyed the comedy of that. Um, let me just go ahead and check this real quick. There's my boy. All right. Yeah, sorry about that. Yesterday, I forgot to pull up the chat where we could see it, and amusingly, we had 3 people quite actively just blowing up the chat yesterday. I didn't even see it until after the show, and I chatted with them a little bit. Gavin was one of them. Thanks for watching this morning, brother. And yes, how many confirmed deaths are there because of the virus? That's a good question. It's actually quite a lot, I think.
It's somewhere around 2,000 that we're certain have died in relation to the virus. But a large part of that revolves around China telling the truth about what's going on. And, it's the thing about communists. They lie.
Yeah, and so let me say this about one of the primary and most terrifying exacerbating factors in this particular case is that China has an active interest, because they're a totalitarian regime. They have enjoyed some market success off of notionally appropriating some capitalist concepts and practices, but by and large, China is still very much a totalitarian regime. Winnie the Pooh has declared himself emperor for eternity, essentially. So, the fact is, they have an active interest in the harm that will be caused to the population of the world by the spread of this virus. So we cannot, because there's a functional game theory interest there, we cannot trust them generally to be open and honest about what's going on over there and what we need to know to prepare ourselves. And add to that the absolute immutable fact that China has a broad and sweeping and terrifying history of a few things. One, media blackouts, government censorship, and outright propaganda and false information. Now, that's not to say that our own government is not guilty of some of the same things, but to compare the things categorically is night and day. Chinese propaganda is the sun as compared to the more lunar reach of American propaganda. That said, the other facts in the case, we know that we know that the original story was that the virus originated in the Wuhan marketplace, the Wuhan fish market. And then we started hearing these rumors and conspiracy theories that the disease was created as part of a biological weapons research. Now, there are no facts to confirm that, but there are some suspicious metrics to corroborate that, which include, oh, by the way, it turns out the virus actually did originate in a lab, and that lab is across the street from the Wuhan fish market.
Yeah, that's not spooky at all. I'm just gonna jump into it full bore here, because ever since the whole thing happened where Jeffrey Epstein clearly didn't kill himself, like, it's been really hard for me to not put my tinfoil hat on about like everything. And for example, we've already concluded on this show that Joe Biden's entire purpose for being in the Democrat nomination, because he's not going to win. He was never going to win. Joe Biden is terrible at winning presidential primaries. but was to create the conditions necessary for the impeachment proceedings that were a sham. And you could even say that there's a second layer in there, that he's supposed to be a disrupting influence for Bernie Sanders. So that, anyhow, point being, in this case, because China's got, the Maoist history of literally sacrificing its own citizens to modernize their economy, it's not that hard to believe that a guy like Peng would accidentally release a virus, let the shadow of the virus actually be larger than the virus itself, create a worldwide panic, which helps him solidify control in his own country, and is such a disruptive economic influence that when we swing back around to our own local politics, one of the things that Donald Trump is going to be able to run on is the strong economy. There's that old saying about it's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. And in most cases, when you look at incumbent presidents, if we are not in any new shooting wars and we've got a robust economy, whoever's in the White House tends to win re-election, no matter what their personal foibles might be. And so Donald Trump is on track to win that. But what if the coronavirus is so disruptive, we have basically a little miniature recession that occurs this summer, just in time to take away Donald Trump's strongest play in his re-election campaign? And then you couple that with the fact of what's going on in China, that they're welding people inside their apartment complexes and dragging other people out of their homes. And you haven't heard a whole lot about the Hong Kong protests either. And when you put all that together and you think about it, it's not really that big of a stretch that, an egomaniac like Peng would do something like this, because it certainly solves a whole lot of problems, especially since Donald Trump has proven for years now, no, China, I'll play economic chicken with you. You're right. These tariffs will hurt both of our economies. You're exactly right. But it's going to hurt yours a whole lot more than it'll hurt mine. Let's see who can tolerate the abuse longer. Reagan did something very similar with the increased military spending in the 80s. He knew that the Russians could not continue to ramp up their military spending without breaking their economy. And it's just, I don't know, is it too far out there? Is it way too tinfoil? Or is it entirely possible that the Chinese government did this on purpose, let it look a certain way when it happened, let the rest of the world panic, and now we're at the point where the President of the United States is given a primetime address to discuss a disease that doesn't actually appear to be that deadly if you're in a country with first world medical facilities.
In fact, it appears at present to be somewhat less severe, but somewhat more contagious, if I understand correctly, than the flu.
Yes, apparently it can live outside the body for quite an extended period of time. Now, we don't know what's going to happen when the weather warms up. The virus might fall apart in heat. We don't know. But at this point, I think I'm not prepared to say with certainty that this virus was purposely released, but I can't discount the possibility. I think it's foolish to at least not give it some percentage of chance in the metric. Even if there's only a 1% chance that this happened, you have to at least assign it that 1% chance, because it could happen.
Yeah. We're pushing up against that 19-minute mark. I think it might be time to call it a day.
I think it's time. Yeah, we started late, so
yeah.
Instead of Alex Joner all over the place, I'm just gonna have to.
It's damn tempting, I know.
God.
World's biggest Alex Joner.
Oh my God, why did Jeffrey Epstein have to get murdered? It broke me, man. We're going to be in our 70s, and we're still going to be saying things like, yeah, but Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, did he?
Well, Epstein is our Kennedy assassination.
That's, oh boy. Yeah, except it's, you know what, never mind. I'm not even touching that. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a tough one. All right. Y'all be safe out there. It's time to go to work. We'll see you tomorrow.
Oh my God. No, why did you have to bring up Kennedy?